Hello everyone, welcome to the program. This is Politics Today live on Channels Television. I'm Sean Wakimaloye here in Abuja. Let's begin by letting you know that the proposed screening of some of the ministerial nominees, 7 of them, to allow for them to be scrutinized in all aspects of the documentation and pre-screening exercise has been delayed. The exercise was initially scheduled to be held today on the floor of the Senate, but the presidency says the exercise has now been shifted to tomorrow at noon. This was contained in a statement Tuesday, earlier today, signed by the special advisor to the president on Senate matters, Bashir Lado. Is it that the governors of the North and the leaders of the North are against Bola Tinubu's government? Well, those who were saying that, if you look at their position yesterday, it does look like one of the major decision or policy of the Bola Tinubu government is about his tax policies and his agenda in taxation. And frontally, the governors and the leaders of the North met in Kaduna, and they said one of those things that they're not happy about is the arrangement in the sharing of the VAT and how it accrues and all of those arrangements. What exactly is the agenda of the Northern leaders? We'll be getting to know tonight. Are they against Bola Tinubu? We'll be finding out tonight. But let's serve you with some of your political roundup stories.
President Bola Tinubu has launched the 2025 Armed Forces of Nigeria Remembrance Day emblem and appeal fund. Launching the emblem at the council chamber in the State House in Abuja, the president commended the armed forces for their role as the first line of defense in protecting the country. He commended the patriotic commitment of the armed forces to Nigeria's unity, stability and progress, stating it will be impossible to promote peace and development without security. And the Senate has passed for third reading a bill to strengthen the capacity of the Nigeria Deposit Insurance Corporation's capacity to safeguard depositors, ensure the stability of financial institutions, and promote trust in the banking system. The legislation, titled Nigeria Deposit Insurance Corporation Act No. 33 of 2023, was sponsored by Senator Mukail Adetokunbo Abiru. Presenting the report during plenary today, he argues that the bill will ensure greater efficiency in the NDIC and safeguard its independence and autonomy. And the House of Representatives has referred Honorable Alex Igweche to its Ethics and Privileges Committee for further legislative action. The resolution of the House is sequel to a motion of privilege moved by the House Leader, Professor Julius Ihombere. Honorable Ihombere notified the House that Igweche was caught on a video on Sunday assaulting an Uber driver and threatening to make him disappear without consequences, which he says brought the Green Chamber into ridicule by his conduct. The All Progressives Congress in Osun State has suspended former Minister of Interior and former Governor of Osun State, Mr. Rauf Aregbesola, over alleged anti-party activities. In the resolution submitted to the APC National Secretariat and addressed to the National Chairman, Mr. Umar Ganduje, the Osun APC accused Aregbesola of creating divisions within the party by establishing a splinter faction in the state. Governor Uba Sani of Kaduna State has described the role of the judiciary as crucial in the ongoing fight against insecurity. Speaking at the swearing-in of a State High Court judge, Justice Jafaru Zubairu, at the council chamber in Kaduna, the governor noted that to effectively weaken and eliminate criminal elements in Kaduna State, prosecuting agencies and the judiciary must prioritize security and avoid necessary delays in handling cases involving suspected terrorists and bandits. And ahead of the governorship election in Ondo State scheduled for the 16th of September, the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) is promising to deliver a free, fair and credible elections. At a dialogue session in Abuja organized by the Nigeria Civil Society Situation Room, the resident electoral commissioner for Ondo State, Mrs. Oluwatoyin Babalola, says the commission is aware of its responsibilities and is prepared to live up to it. Meanwhile, some youth from Ondo State under the ages of action for credible and transparent elections are calling on the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, Professor Mahmood Yakubu, to redeploy the resident electoral commissioner in Ondo State, Mrs. Oluwatoyin Babalola. The group made the demand during the protest to the national headquarters of the commission in Abuja. The coordinator of the group, Mr. Ayo Adeyemi, says the call is to ensure that the processes leading to the scheduled Saturday, November 16 governorship election in Ondo State is not only transparent and credible, but must be coordinated by persons whose views and opinions are consistent and not biased.
Let's tell you that there's been some kind of conversation between President of the United States, Mr. Joe Biden, earlier this evening, and President Bola Tinubu, the President of the United States, conveyed his gratitude to Nigeria and President Tinubu for the release of the Binance executive Tigran Gabriel. And the Foreign Affairs Minister Yusuf Tuga says that the 30-minute voice call between both leaders, according to him, quote, have been directed by Mr. President to brief you with regards to his phone call with U.S. President Joseph Biden at about 4 p.m. today. The two leaders exchanged pleasantries, and President Biden proceeded to thank President Tinubu for his partnership and for Nigeria's partnership, and in particular for the collaboration between the two countries with regards to the release of one of the suspects of the cryptocurrency exchange company that we're all aware of, end of quote. And I was just around the villa, also the president and the chief executive of the Dangote group, Mr. Aliko Dangote, today is shedding more light on how to end the reoccurring issue of fuel queues in the country. He spoke to reporters after his engagement at the presidential villa today, and is asking the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, NPCL, and marketers across the country to stop the importation of fuel. Take a listen to him.
I'm not in the business of retail. If I'm in the business of retail, then you hold me responsible. But what I'm saying is that the retailers should please come forward and pick. If they don't come forward and pick, what do you want me to do? That's nothing that I can do. So I am expecting either NNPC or the marketers to stop importing. They should come and collect. We have what they need. And, as they remove, I'll be pumping. I don't know whether you understand what it takes to keep 500 million liters inside our tank. It's costing me money. Every day, if I will be able to collect the naira, I can actually charge somebody 32% in interest. So right now, that's what I'm losing. And you are talking about 500 billion. We don't print money, but the issue is that if they come and collect, then you will not see any queues in the filling stations.
All right. So yesterday was part of our focus was what happened yesterday in Kaduna State, but that meeting went very late in the night. So the northern governors are asking lawmakers to reject President Bola Tinubu's tax reform bills, and they are giving reasons for that. Well, not the entire documents that have been proposed to the National Assembly. Some of the governors says that the tax bills are against the interests of the North and have instructed northern lawmakers to reject the bills. The Northern Governors Forum openly rejected some of the proposals, particularly the VAT sharing template in one of the bills. The northern governors reached the resolution yesterday after their meeting in Kaduna. Some of us who have been following, there are about 6 to 7 takeaways from that meeting. Meeting largely on issues of security, issues of the economy, issues of agriculture, and so many other issues that were discussed. But that particular matter has been agitating the minds of so many people. And there are those who perhaps in the South will say, what is the fear of the North when issues like this come up? And there are those who are also asking, politically speaking, why are the northern governors or the leaders opposing Bola Tinubu's government? Well, let's get some clarity and insight into what exactly went down yesterday in Kaduna. One of the governors who was present at that meeting is the governor of Nasarawa State, and he's live for us here in our studio. Thank you so much, Your Excellency.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
I thought you were going to bring some rice. I see that you have started harvesting rice in Nasarawa.
Yes.
Harvest is here already.
Harvest is already here. We planted the 2,000 out of the 10,000 hectares of area. And it's supposed to be rice that will be ready in 6 months. And if you remember, we started this somewhere around May. But locally for us, most part of the rice are ready for harvest. And I participated in the first day of the harvest. And we have already harvested some rice, and we are taking them to Lafia.
How many hectares are these?
It's 2,000 hectares that have been planted that will be harvested in the next 1 month.
Is this mainly the government of Nasarawa State that planted?
It's the 10,000 hectares is 100% part of the effort of the government of Nasarawa State.
So you use local farmers to do the planting?
No, we did our own planting ourselves. What happened was that I actually employed a gentleman called Ogunwale. He was from Kwara State. He used to work for me as a GM, really, when I was there.
That's one of the best.
Dangote, yes.
You get one of the finest Nigerians from that state.
Yes. I don't know about that. But we were able to get him, and then he came, and we put a team together with our ministry and our NADP officials, and then of course, we employed a lot of local people, from Jangwa area, Agua Taishi area, Awe area, and they are all part of the agricultural activity. Like when I went there, my happiness was that majority of the women who were doing the separation, and after the harvest, is actually what got me so excited, and we were able to do that. So,
and this is located mostly in Awe, or what part of Nasarawa is this?
It's in Awe, and the 10,000 hectares goes from Awe in a place called Jangwa, all the way to Agua Taishi area. That's where, 10,000 is a lot of
did you compensate the people of the area?
Well, it was...
Or you just use the fair act of the governor who owns all the land in the state by the virtue of the Land Use Act?
No, we can never do that. What happened is that the 2,000 that's the reason why the first area planted 2,000 had been virgin area, and that area belongs to the NADP, which is the Nasarawa Agricultural Development Project, so it belonged to them. So we went ahead and took it because it belonged to the state. The remaining 8,000, most of it belongs to the state, but there are some people who have come there and settled, and we didn't plan that area. We are just compensating some of those people now, relocating them to some other areas. Some of them that cannot be relocated, we are allocating land for them so that they can do their own agriculture. At the end of the day, we get our 10,000 hectares.
So what name would you call this rice? Is it Nasarawa rice or what?
It was a funny thing. That day somebody asked me, what name will be this rice? They say, you know what, we have not given, because we are not milling the rice.
So you are just harvesting? Yeah. Who is milling for you?
Good. That's a good question. When we harvest, we have so many people who have shown interest now. Olam rice is next to us. Olam will be very interested. When Olam takes it, he's not going to call it any name that we are going to give. He's going to give it exactly Olam rice. We have some customers also from smaller mills from Kano that have come forward to show interest. Every one of them that takes the rice will do that. But my ultimate goal is to be able to build a small mill there, because building a mill is the simplest of all. The agricultural aspect is the more difficult.
So where will the mill be? In Awe or in Lafia, or where exactly?
No, we won't go to Lafia. It has to be in the location where the farm is. Yeah. So most likely it is going to be at the border of Awe and Obi, because Agua Taishi is in Obi local government. So the mill is going to be there. That way you can actually take your paddy from any part of the farm, to the central area for the mill.
In your own estimation, how much has the state government spent in this farming? How many bags of rice, maybe 50 kg, can you get from the 10 hectares? Because you are using the resources of the people of Nasarawa State. You want to do what government is very bad at doing business.
Correct.
Whether or not you are a very good one at that, the people of Nasarawa State will want to know how you are utilizing their resources.
Okay. In a nutshell, what we did before we even started anything, we estimated what kind of yield we were going to get from that rice. And believe me, what we are seeing right now, the yield will even be better than what we expected. Now, we spent a little over 3 billion naira from the start of this all the way to where we are at the moment, including the harvesting. By the time we sell it, even based on our old yield, we should be making 4-point-something billion naira. So we are not losing at the initial.
But you should have made more. Maybe you plan for the next planting season, by which time you will have also put in place a mill.
Yes.
Where you will have all the chain from the beginning to the end, end to end. You will have it right in Nasarawa State.
That's the time
and I can suggest a name that you could call it.
Okay. You can go ahead. Give me a name.
you pay for consultancy. A brand name that will be global.
That's correct.
What species of rice are you planting, though?
No. Well, it's just the regular Thailand rice. That's where we got the seeds from.
Okay.
So it's just the regular long grain Thailand rice. Yeah. That's what we are planting at the moment, and that's what we're harvesting.
Good news. And so you have not been able to estimate how many the quantum, the tons that you can get from the harvest.
We only started the harvesting. By the time we complete, and we know the yield. That's the time that we will know the total tonnage.
Some of those experts should be able to tell you.
No, I can.
For these 10 hectares, we should be able to get maximum of so amount of tons of rice or bags.
Okay, let me tell you, we estimated that we are going to be getting roughly about 7 tons per hectare. That's what we estimated. Now, we have gone roughly about 14 hectares. And from the 14 hectares, we are getting approximately 8.8, 8.9 tons per hectare. So we are getting more than our 7. So that's what we are estimating.
That's good. We saw the Kebbi Lagos partnership, the lake rice, and when we won, and I'm always very excited when we see governments who are taking initiatives. A lot of your colleagues are not doing very well, and we must be frank with ourselves. The essence of leading a state is to have initiative that will better the lot of the people of that state. And if most states take initiatives like this, and I'm very sure how many people this will feed, how many jobs will go down the line, governors need to be creative.
That's correct.
Well, thank you so much for the effort.
No problem.
But let me go straight to where I invited you, Governor Sule. Why does it look like you and your friends and your colleagues yesterday, the leaders of the North, were against Bola Tinubu's policy? Is there an explanation for it? Because that is what a lot of people took to town yesterday. But from what I read differently. But explain to us what exactly was the, especially, let's begin with the taxation. How did you arrive at that decision?
Okay. Well, you see, when things go to the media, you have no control over. The issue is that when we came into this meeting, the issue of this taxation of the VAT was even the last item to be discussed. We came in and the Chief of Defense Staff, General Musa, came and took almost an hour briefing us, and then we would discuss about what the northern governors need to do to tackle issue of security in the northern part of the country. And in fact, we now invited another group called the Northern group that came in, of former generals and things like that, that came again and briefed us on the security situation in the north. After that, we went into several other issues. For instance, we had Professor Jega that came in and took over an hour briefing us about the wonderful initiative of Mr. President, which is the livestock project. And we discussed it, and we discussed where to go. In fact, we took some time to even look at the NLTP that was started by the former administration, where we said, let us not throw the baby and the bathwater together. And we're looking at that one. So after taking all that, you see, we took time to discuss with the traditional rulers about one of the biggest problems in the north, the Almajiri system that we have. And then we even gave examples, about what some other states have done, the steps they have taken, given by the Sultan, and advising all the states, to go and do exactly what like Gombe and Zamfara has done concerning the issue of the Almajiri. So the last one that we even took, after discussing all these various issues on mining, on agriculture, on this, was this issue of the item. But you see, when the news came, like you are saying, why are the governors of the North against President Tinubu? We cannot bring President Tinubu as a president. And the North came in very heavily in making sure President Tinubu becomes president and turn around again and be against him. In fact, we started by commending him on so many initiatives that he has taken, including this same initiative of the livestock. And we commended him by selecting somebody like Professor Jega, who will come in. So we started by so many commendations of the president. But it's not just APC that were there at the Northern Nigerian Governors Forum. The forum is made up of people from APC, from PDP, from all the other parties. And then there were people who had no parties, the traditional rulers, that we sat down and took the decision together that looking at this law is going to be unfair to the North. By the time you said you are going to take VAT out of the sharing of the FAC, and then now say that it is going to be shared similar to something like, because that's the understanding we have based on the proposal, it's going to be another 13% derivation. So whatever state that is generating more of the VAT is the state that is going to, so exactly similar to this derivation that you have. So the states that have almost no VAT at the moment will end up actually with the shorter end of the states. And you know the 19 states of the north are generating very little when it comes to VAT at the moment. And it is very clear. I work for some of these multinationals. I know how VAT are paid. When we were importing raw materials as Dangote, at the Apapa port, we paid VAT first. Then the finished product, you have another VAT added to it, which the customer is paying. Most of these institutions are paying their VAT from their headquarters. And I give you an example. Coca-Cola. As at the time I was managing director of Dangote Sugar, Coca-Cola had 11 plants. About 50% of the plants are here in the northern part of the country. About 50% are in the southern part of the country. So all the operations that are carried out in all these places, as long as VAT is concerned, is paid at the headquarters, the corporate headquarters total, which is going to be in Lagos. Let me take the north out of it. Take Ibeshe, for instance. Ibeshe Cement is in Ogun State. The main operations is in Ogun, but the headquarters of the Dangote is in Lagos. So because of that, the VAT is actually paid in Lagos. So we're saying the moment you do that, you take it out, and just do not leave it the way it is. Some other states will be unfair.
So the question,
that's the way it is.
Yeah, the question here, and usually the standard as it is right now is that revenues that accrues from VAT collection is usually shared through FAC.
Correct.
That is the Federation Accounts Allocation Committee.
Correct.
And this is the formula in which it's being shared.
Okay.
The federal government gets 15%.
Correct.
States get 50%.
Correct.
And 35% goes to the local government.
Correct.
Now, the thinking now is that there might be a bit tinkering to it in such a way that let the VAT be shared based on, how it's being collected within the state. And, the people in the north will say, no, we don't want it that way. Is that not fairness in any case?
I don't think
if you share it based on what you earn.
No.
Or how you produce.
No, I don't think it is like that. You see, it is completely different from, and take Nasarawa State out of it, for instance. Look at the entire country, and that's why I gave you an example of, say, Ogun State. So it is not just necessarily about the north. And it's not even about President Tinubu, by the way. In fact, one of the governors was mentioning that, do you know what? President Tinubu may even have no idea about what this proposal is all about. Because, the president has bigger things to worry about. But somebody, is actually promoting this. And we are saying that we don't think it is fair. We don't think it is right. We don't think it is going to be fair even to everybody. Because and that's the reason why we said that.
It's going to be increased from 7.5 on luxury item to about 15%.
Correct.
That is some of the proposition.
Correct.
But if you do not like what is being proposed, what is the proposition that you agreed upon at that meeting?
We maintain what it is. We have no problem whatsoever, even though it's another hardship, to the people. I saw a funny one this afternoon in the social media where somebody said, oh, the northern governors are against it. They are against the target of $1 trillion economy. I said, this guy doesn't even know what the hell he's talking about. How do you drive economy through VAT? You drive a grand economy through manufacturing, through production, through that, not through VAT. You don't overtax people and expect that this is the way to drive.
Are these policies about overtaxing people or capturing more people? Because part of the
it is about the sharing.
Yeah, part of the proposition, sorry, Governor, that I have read is the fact that there are a lot of people who are not captured. And that is going to, they're trying to regularize. That is the thinking and the intention of the drafters of the bill as proposed to the National Assembly, that more than those people who are not properly captured should be captured. One, luxury items, things that we naturally may not need, things that the average person is not bothered about, should be heavily taxed. So just like we see in other climes, encourage local production. These are initiatives that are being created to change.
How do you encourage local production with that?
No, if people go after luxury items, if, for example, without any prejudice to any of these brands, you wear a Fendi belt or you wear a Louis Vuitton belt, which might be more expensive than a locally produced belt in Nigeria.
Exactly.
But if you know that you are going to pay more tax on it, wouldn't you look locally to buy from the local producer?
Of course you will.
So those are some of the initiatives.
Yeah,
so,
and nobody is against any initiative. As a matter of fact, there are some initiatives on when you are having agricultural produce and you want to export, you know, there is no VAT attached to it. When you are having agricultural equipment were important for the whole federation, not for the northern states, not for anybody, for entire federation. Anybody importing this, also you are looking at that. So it's not that we are saying that. If you remember, we pick an item in that bill, and that item is concerning VAT. So it doesn't make sense to say that nobody is against anything. Nobody is worried about you are raising the VAT to so and so percentage, even though the moment you raise it, the producer of the product is going to charge the customer for it at the end of the day. You know, so, but we are not even talking about that. We are talking about the sharing formula of the VAT. And that's the one that and I think whether we are APC, PDP, APGA, whatever party, you know, we have a right to say that we agree with this or we don't disagree with this. It has nothing to do with disliking anybody or hating anybody or that. No, I think we swore that we are going to be the governors of the northern part of the country. And when we see something that is going against the interests of the northern part, it's our right, you know, to come out and say, no, we dislike this.
Yeah, some of the language that is being used is that that particular policy has a potential harm to the northern region of the country.
Exactly.
Those are heavy words that are going to be used for.
Well, I don't know.
Proposer. I mean, it's been attributed to the Sultan of Sokoto, His Excellency Sahad Abubakar III, that the proposer has potential harm to the region. The question is how.
Well, you can ask the Sultan on that. What we said clearly is that we want fairness in the distribution of VAT. We believe if we go the way it is, it's going to be unfair. And I told you that it's going to be unfair to even some other states in the south themselves. Okay, that's why I gave you the example of Ibeje. I gave you example of other, which is not in the north. Ibeje cement is actually in Ogun State. You know, but the VAT of that and those kind of things are paid at the headquarters of the company that is doing that.
Is it fair, Governor, so that you are asking lawmakers from your region to reject it?
Definitely.
Okay, I mean, is that not a standoffish approach?
No, it's not a standoff.
When there's an executive bill, if you do not agree with it, what is the place of consultation?
No, first and foremost, as the governors of the northern states, we have some people who are going to engage the National Assembly in order to talk to the National Assembly and explain to them our concerns when it comes to this particular bill. We have also a team that will meet with Mr. President to explain, similar to what I'm doing to you now, because the general impression is that, oh, they are against the president. How do you know the president is even involved in this bill? So it's not about
an executive bill. Well, you think it's possible that an executive bill will emerge from the presidency without President Tinubu's awareness?
Let me tell you, as a governor, we have executive bills, okay? Somebody will come up with the idea. Somebody will sell the idea to us. And then you do not go through the nitty and gritty things. You go through the legal people and ensure everything is right. I personally don't believe Mr. President will do anything that will be unfair to any part of the country. Forget whether north, south, east, and west. You know, I don't believe he will do that. I have just seen today.
Or maybe he wasn't aware, because from what I understand and gather, some of these policies that are being proposed to the National Assembly, they are original ideas of Bola Tinubu, an intention of wanting to be president, even before he ran for the primaries. These are his original ideas.
Well, we were part of him with the campaign throughout the period. We were part of the discussions about the plans what Mr. President had.
And he spoke about tax reforms.
We didn't hear about VAT is going to be taken out of our allocation.
He talked about tax reforms, but only that you are not aware of the details of how he was going to go about it.
Yes.
And so you oppose it.
On the VAT right now, personally, I oppose it. And I think all the northern leaders, irrespective of political parties, also oppose it.
But you have not been able to explain how it's harmful to the north.
No, I explained to you. It is harmful to the north because
you will not get as much money.
Well, you are not going to get fair money. It's not just about much. It's about what is fair, what is fairly allocated to you.
The economic arrangement within the north needs to be properly structured such that this so-called unfair marginalized arrangement would be sorted out. Yeah. If you think that economically there is an imbalance in the way the North is positioned, yes, you don't think that structurally, these are some of the issues we talked about, the restructuring of this country, you see, and how our laws are being made.
VAT is different from oil. VAT is different from minerals. Today, 13% is being derived for oil-producing states. Nobody is complaining. I just explained to you how VAT is paid. So, VAT is paid from the efforts of the entire nation. These products are sold throughout the nation. But when you say it is only at the point of collection, which means the point of the corporate headquarters of the companies, we believe that is not fair. That is definitely not fair. But you know what? There is no way you can say that just because I set up my company, I can set up a company here and have all my operations in Imo. When I pay the VAT, I pay the VAT here in Abuja. And Abuja will say, Imo, you are not part of the contribution to this VAT. So it's mine. It's my effort. That's the word we say is not fair. And I don't think anybody who understands how VAT is generated will tell you, and I'm telling you from the knowledge of the fact that I was not even part of collection of VAT, I was part of paying VAT. When we imported raw material at Apapa, we paid the VAT at the time 5%. When we finished production in Apapa, we added VAT 5% to the 50 kg bags, and then it's sold. And over 60% of it is sold outside the southern part of the country. And you are saying that all these places, forget about it, what are they going to, what is fair then?
So, did you make any decision in actually framing how you would like it to look like? If you are rejecting the draft, are you having your own proposed draft to send to the executive for a representation to the National Assembly?
Yes, what is already existing.
That's what you want, yeah. Status quo.
Yeah, we just want status quo.
Let's take a breather, Governor. But when we return, there is so much more to talk about. Security in the North, the Almajiri situation in the North, and of course, some of those issues are agreed upon by the Northern governors and the traditional rulers. We understand it was a robust conversation, but then a lot of things are not very clear. We'll be getting an explanation after this break, everyone. Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with us. More explanation coming in on the decision of the Northern governors on and the leaders of the North, which included, of course, the governors, the traditional rulers. Governor of Nasarawa State was part of that conversation. Governor Abdullahi Sule is here with us live on the program. We'll get in some more when we want that break. I got more clarity from those who are behind the drafters of this bill, who say that you and your colleagues actually misconstrued and didn't understand the details of what you are proposing, and that, in fact, the structure in which it exists presently has 20% derivation, 30% in the sharing formula, 30% equality, and about 60% on population. But they are saying that 60% will be derivation, and that if you are paying as a company, you'll be able to state how you are, which state or the region or the places where you have collected your VAT, and that this is to encourage states to perform an economic awareness in most part of the country. It seems to be some clarity, isn't it, Governor?
I'm happy that we took the position we took yesterday, because now I listened to your conversation with the judge. I don't know who actually called you, but I listened to the conversation, and if you heard what he said earlier, 60% was going to be on derivation in the bill. But what they are trying to do right now, probably because of these discussions that we had yesterday, now they are changing it in order to have only 20% derivation. 60%, the meaning of derivation for them will be consumption, and which is not in the bill now, but probably it is going to be part of the bill, which is wonderful. Now that agrees with the explanation I had given to you.
So it shows that there are good intentions. And according to them, the drafters are saying they want it to generate competition, economic competition across the region.
You see, if it is based on exactly what he mentioned right now, nobody will oppose it. There will be difficulty in being able to calculate that, by the way, but nobody will oppose it. A good example is, I gave you an example of Coca-Cola. Let me leave Coca-Cola. Let me go to 7-Up. 7-Up had 9 plants, okay? So half of these plants, again, are in the northern part of the country. So their operational things were in the north. So the other ones are there. So what he's saying is that if it is going to be based on consumption, so all these other plants, whatever they are producing and the rest of that, is going to go to those areas. Fantastic. When you say it is going to do that, then it is reflecting. Now, let me tell you, say, take Dangote flour, or maybe take flour mills of Nigeria. Let me leave Dangote out. Take flour mills of Nigeria. Flour mills of Nigeria does most of the milling in Lagos and Apapa. But close to 40 to 50% of the goods are actually transported, to other locations. So what he's telling you now is that 40 to 50%, the VAT of that is going to, if that is the case, that's the fairness we're talking about. But the difficulty is, how does he calculate that? You see, it is easy to sit down and mention some of those things. It is another thing to sit down and calculate them and know that, because manufacturing is different from economy. When somebody is saying that this is the economics of it, this is the one I want it, when you are actually in the field of production, it's completely a different game altogether. So you are going to use trucks to transport these goods. You are going to make sure they go to their location. You are going to make sure the customers have received. So many things. And what happens to a lot of these goods that come and sold, for instance, in Kano or in Maiduguri, and they end up being consumed across the border? Who gets that? So it's more complicated than the way people just mention it.
So if based on the explanation given, now about the intentions of it and that structure, you'll be fine.
Nobody said the intention was bad. You see, all
there are no clarity according to you.
Exactly. Yeah. There were no clarity. Like right now, the clarity that I had from the gentleman when he's saying that we were proposing 60% of it was going to go on this, but then we said no. The meaning we have of this generation, it is going to be based on consumption, the utilization of the goods and this and that. If that's the case, we won't oppose it.
So part of their stand is that, for example, they said a state that produces food should not lose out just because its products are VAT exempt or consumed in other states. Yeah. The state where the supply originates should be recognized for its contributions. Correct. The same principle should be applied to services like telecommunications. VAT distribution should reflect where subscribers are located. Correct. And if that is done, there's a little difference from what from the status quo. Exactly. But I mean, it will be fairer. If that's the case, if it's adjusted in that case.
Let me tell you that anything that will encourage states to perform, I will be at the forefront of doing that. Anything that will encourage states to be productive, I will be in front of doing that. Anything, so anything that will make us to get up, and that's where we challenge ourselves on agriculture, on mining, on other things, and say, you know what, stop complaining. Let us get up and do things.
So it does look like part of the inference drawn from that meeting is that the Tinubu government's policies are harsh to the Nigerian people.
I don't know about harsh. There are so many policies that have been taken that are excellent for the country. I just told you about the one of livestock that has worked perfectly by the time it's fully implemented. I have told you about the aspect, of the border that he has taken that has worked. I told you the aspect of agriculture that he has taken that has encouraged people on this food security.
We're talking about the average Nigerian persons in terms of the food on their tables. The purchasing power of the average person that's been terribly dealt a huge blow. The price of commodity inflation rates and food inflation and these things that affect the livelihoods of the average person. In fact, when doctors come out to say patients are now afraid to go to the hospitals because of the capacity to pay for medical services, these are terrible times that no one can ever imagine will happen. And you said, some of your colleagues are saying, some of this hardship is being felt more in the northern region. That's why I'm asking. And you're a chieftain, you're a leader in the APC.
Yes.
And these are policies that Nigerians are frowning and yelling and screaming and crying about, that your government, and in that regard, has failed Nigerians, Governor.
I don't know about failing. Mr. President is the first to come forward and say, yes, I understand. And I think he said that many times during his speeches. Yes, I understand the pains that Nigerians are going through as a result of these reforms, but there is light at the end of the tunnel. Mr. President made this statement many times.
You don't think it's a current, it looks like a failing right now? If people are groaning, if people were being promised renewed hope, and what they are getting, in quote, is renewed shaggy, according to some people, if they are not able to feed their families, they've downscaled their feeding to about once a day, and people are saying we cannot even send our children to school because of transportation. You don't think that is some failing?
No,
of a government that promises better to the people?
Failing
and you were one of those who were in the vanguard of campaigning for that government.
Yes, we are.
Or that party.
We are, and I still am. You know, but what I'm saying is, as far as we are concerned, and as far as Mr. President is concerned, he's very much aware of these reforms. And nobody said they were going to be easy, they were going to be difficult. But at the end of the day, you know, some of these reforms that are being taken by Mr. President, he clearly indicated and mentioned to Nigerians, you know, that there is light at the end of the tunnel, and this is the hardship that we'll go through, but it's only temporary. You know, so Mr. President himself has said that many times.
So the belief is that when someone is hungry, he doesn't know whether he's going to live to see the promise of tomorrow.
What?
When hunger is involved. And that's what I'm saying. I mean, you can only promise for someone who will see tomorrow when he cannot feed today. What do you say to them?
Well,
your party, you don't think, Governor, that
you provide all
is badly dented in the public, the image of your party is there, because when you look at, you've had some statistics that have been that is the first in 30 years, in 20 years, economically speaking. It's a terrible one, Governor. Are you aware of the suffering of a lot of Nigerians out there?
I'm living with Nigerians. I hardly come to Abuja.
And you see me. You can feel the pains of the people.
I feel the pains of the people.
And you don't think your party should be blamed for it?
No. Blame is not a time for blame.
No, it's a time for blame, Governor. No. Because if you made a promise and you're not delivering to the people, isn't that a failure?
You made a promise that you are going to stop all the bleeding when it comes to subsidy removal. And the president has actually fulfilled that promise by removing that. He made a promise clearly that he's going to unify that so that some few people do not continue to enrich themselves, and he fulfilled that by the unification of the FX. He made a promise on the issue of agriculture that we are going to have food security in the country. You are seeing some of the successes in that area. Now, in the rest of all these things that he is doing, he's also saying that because of the hardship, we are going to provide some kind of palliatives in education, in scholarships, in food that is going to go to the people, in salary that is going to be increased, in that. So it is not like all bad news, just take hardship, take hardship. No, you are saying this is the hardship, this is the challenge, but this is also some palliative that will cushion some of these effects and the challenges temporarily before we see that light at the end of the tunnel.
No, does your party accept the blame that you are badly running the country at the moment?
We are not badly running the country. There are so many things that I have mentioned to you that are going well for the country.
All right. Let me take you through part of what you've discussed. It's been said, as of today, Governor, about over 15 million out-of-school children are in northern Nigeria.
Correct.
And it's been said that UNICEF is saying 1 out of 3 children in Nigeria are out of school.
Correct.
And what we had about a few years ago is less than 10 million of out of school. We've added millions over the last few years. How did we get it? You remember what Emir Sanusi said, that this is a failure of the northern leaders. Do you and your colleagues sometimes think that people should hold you accountable and hold you by the babariga for some of these failures? Well, how would you have your children on the street and not able to go to school, carrying bowls up and down and not being security of their lives are not being guaranteed, Governor?
I'm glad that they have taken it off the president and putting it on top of the northern governors now. You see, the issue that's the reason why I'm smiling, because in the past somebody will marry 4 wives when he cannot even feed himself. He doesn't have any source of income. He has 4 wives, he has 30 children. Next thing is failure of the government, failure of President Tinubu, that he married the 4 wives and he had 30 children. But now when you say, okay, we have taken it out of President Tinubu, now is on part of the northern governors. So it is a part of the governor of Nasarawa.
It's a leader of the north that said it. That, look, all what you're saying in the north is a problem of the leadership of the north.
Some of these people were leaders when this problem started, and they did nothing. Some of these same people you are talking about that are making noise now were the same people that were part of creating the problem in the first place, and they did nothing. And now the problem, it has actually cemented, and some other people are making efforts, and they are blaming leaders. So is it the fault of a governor that somebody has gone to marry 4 wives when he cannot even feed himself and had 30 children?
At your meeting yesterday, what did you agree in solving the problem of Almajiri, this problem of out-of-school children? What did you agree on?
We have taken it as a problem of the north, and the northern governors must confront the problem head-on. And we discussed, at least now, we bought the idea, we and the traditional rulers are on the same page. Next is to make sure the religious leaders are also on the same page on this. Once we do that, it is in our own interest, number one, to ensure every one of the governors will go and build, not federal government. Federal government can do whatever they want to do, but state government has to take a responsibility and say that we are going to build an institution for the Almajiris, where they are going to be given education, good feeding, and the rest of that. And we have to discourage this mentality of somebody having this number of children and taking them from one city to go and abandon them in another city where he doesn't know where they sleep, doesn't know what they eat, doesn't know what they wear, doesn't know anything about their health care. Sometimes these children are 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, that's the rest of them. So those are the problems.
If you are creating the system to accommodate or to adopt some of these children, who sometimes you cannot even link who their parents are, because it's also criminal for you not to be able to cater for your children and leave them off in some part of our laws. And it behoves on you as a parent, when you have a child, to be able to cater for them. Leaving them on the street is another crime entirely. It also behoves on the government to be able to cater for all its citizens, especially the minors. Now, the question is that there are those who talk about birth control, because you mentioned that people who are marrying multiple wives and bearing many children are not able to control. Are you looking in the way of birth control? Are you looking, is that an option?
We are not abandoning any option.
So birth control,
we are looking at all the options. First, we have to take care of the problem you have right now first, because right now if you say, no, I'm banning Almajiri system, I'm doing that without making provision for that, that's the part that is even criminal.
What happened to the Jonathan Almajiri system created during that administration?
You see, all those things...
Do you have it in your state, or it's failed?
It has failed, it's political. If you even see the village where the school was built for the Almajiri, it's a village where there are no Almajiris. You see, so when something is done too political, you are going to have this kind of problem. That's why I said federal government can do whatever it is they want to do. It is the responsibility of the state government that knows where these people are, knows the feeling where... we took a decision during COVID as governors and say, we are going to take these Almajiris back to your state, hand over to your state governor, this and that. And we did that. And you had the scream and all that people were saying, oh, northern governors are not good. Oh, northern governors are transporting these innocent children back to their parents. As if it's a crime to take people back to their parents.
But the question here is that if you are dealing with the surface, you are not dealing with the incubation, where these children are originating
That's
from.
why I say no option is abandoned. You see...
But did you agree on a way forward?
The idea is that we are talking to the religious leaders. You see, right now, when you do it, then our religious leaders sometimes come forward very hard. Oh, you are against the religion. Oh, that's why we need to... Even the traditional rulers were against it in the first place. Today, we are on the same page with them. Next is to get the traditional rulers. Is it Islamic? Is it correct? Is it done anywhere? So all of us go to Saudi Arabia. When we go to Saudi Arabia, we see maximum somebody with 2 wives. These are the foundation of Islam.
So, I mean, it brings again the security problems, in which a lot of people would think you are the CDS, why didn't you have the NSA? Because the question would then be the conversation around the need for an anti-banditry strategy for the northern region, because apart from Boko Haram, banditry has become a scourge in the northern region.
Correct.
Why was the NSA not there?
No, he was invited. You know, we invited the NSA and invited the CDS.
Did he turn down your invitation?
No. There is no way he will turn down our invitation. As a matter of fact, the other group, the northern group that came, being chaired by one General Mukhtar, you know, a retired general, informed us they just finished meeting with the NSA before he came. So, of course, the NSA will never turn down such a request to come and address northern security. Probably he was held for one other reason, but the CDS came. Probably CDS even came on their behalf, both of them. You know, the CDS would not have come if the NSA was against it. You know, so I think we discussed all the other issues concerning security. Is
there an anti-banditry strategy that has been implemented or been proposed or on the table?
Well, there are some, but you know, security things, you don't, they are not things to...
But is there an assurance that the North will be safer when all of you were on the table yesterday?
That's the whole idea. You know, the whole idea is to ensure that we work with the security agencies, we open books.
Is state policing on the table too?
It's on the table.
Whether you and your colleagues will be able to take hold and take charge of security in your states?
Well, that one is a different topic, it's a different page altogether. But as far as state police was concerned, it was also an item that was discussed. But the problem we are facing, as a matter of fact, by the way, is the CDS himself who insisted that we should follow up with the state, because you see, military comes in only for one reason. Police are the ones who take care of it. In fact, these were the statements by the CDS.
Are the situation better in the North today under Bola Tinubu?
You see, it depends on where.
Don't talk like an APC member.
I'm not talking like an APC. You know me, I talk straight. I'm not talking APC or PDP or ABGA or anybody. I'm telling you the fact the way it is. There are states where security has worsened very badly. There are states where security has improved very much, you know, and that is exactly the situation. If you go to the Northeast, they will tell you that there has been significant improvement on the issue of security. If you come to the Northwest, they will say security issues have been compounded. You know, like yesterday, we look at Zamfara and Katsina, you know, as well as part of Sokoto, where now the situation actually has worsened. You know, but there are many other states, to be honest with you, where things have improved.
We need to close. And when you were having that meeting, I'm very sure that it was on generator that you were running in Kaduna. The northern region was in darkness. What is the feeler that you are getting in resolving the darkness in the north?
Well, we received today from the Ministry of Power, and we also saw all over in the papers that Mr. President had given them 5 days, you know, to restore power, and we were informed properly that it was as a result of vandalization, you know, of some of the cables. You know, some of these high-tension lines and our transmission lines are easily vandalized, you know, these days. So it's
more of a security situation.
It is.
Than a technical issue.
Definitely.
And this is not terrorism?
I don't believe that's terrorism.
Governor Abdullahi Sule, the governor of Nasarawa, said, unfortunately, we are not able to talk about the proposition of Professor Atairu Jega on the issue of livestock. Maybe some other time, but thank you so much indeed for your time. Always a pleasure having you.
Always a pleasure having you.
That's our show for tonight, everyone. Many thanks for watching. I'm Sean Akimale. God bless Nigeria.